The Knicks postgame show is presented by Tri-State Audi. Visit your Tri-State area Audi dealer today. OG Anunoby against his former team in the last meeting at 31. Tonight he had 27. And Karl-Anthony Towns back after the one-game absence, 27-13. Knicks poured on in the second half, snapped their three-game losing streak, beat the Raptors 112-98. Hi, everyone. It's great to have you with us here. Bill Pito along with Wally Szczerbiak. So the season-long losing streak, only 3 games, goes by the boards. Knicks an excellent second half, and they win basically going away tonight.
Yeah, and you see how important Karl-Anthony Towns is to this team. Knicks lacking at the center position. That's why they went to go make that move. When he's out there on the floor, everyone's roles fit perfectly into place. OG Anunoby gets a lot of good looks at the basket. Josh Hart gets the looks he can take advantage of. When he drives to the basket, there's a reason why he gets to the basket with no shot blocker, because the shot blocker's out there trying to defend Karl-Anthony Towns at the three-point line. He is very important to this Knicks team. That's a very good win. And on the other side, the Raptors, fully healthy, they did not show up tonight. That was a very interesting game, the way they played.
Raptors have now lost 14 out of 15. R.J. Barrett did have 16. Emmanuel quickly did have 22, but it was all Knicks in the second half. They led, Wally, only by 4 at the half. Mm-hmm. What was the big difference as they started to pull away in the third quarter?
Well, they got consecutive stops. That was the big thing. They started to really establish their defense. Karl-Anthony Towns was swallowing up rebounds. And then overall, that's what good teams do. They make a few adjustments at halftime, and they come out and throttle teams in that third quarter. The third quarter is important to set the tone. That's when the game is dictated to carry into the fourth quarter. Look at how open these shots are. I mean, the Knicks, when they had their full complement of players, their system and their pieces fit perfectly. And we saw that tonight. Obviously, the Knicks are front-loaded with their starting 5. You know, that's where all the Bucks are going. That's where all the stars are playing. And this starting 5 played a really good game. And then they also got some contributions. I think this was the best game I've seen Landry Shamet play off the bench. He's keeping the ball alive for Precious Achiuwa. And one thing about Precious Achiuwa, it doesn't matter how many minutes he gets, and remember, this is against his old team, he seems to always bring it every single night.
You mentioned Shamet, 8 points for him. That's a Knicks high. This is the 200th win for Tom Thibodeau as Knicks coach. Key number, 3-point shooting. We talked about the last 8 games, the Knicks shooting 29% from downtown. Much better tonight, Wally, at 12 for 33. You see the rest of the numbers. And what really helped the 3-point shooting, OG Anunoby, who over his last 20 games from 3, shooting like 28%. Yeah. Tonight, 4 of 6 from downtown, as he goes for those 27 points. Yeah,
that's a great sign, and it happens because you have such a big-time threat back in the lineup in Karl-Anthony Towns. And Karl-Anthony Towns draws a lot of defense. OG Anunoby is not the guy that's going to get a lot of plays called for him, but I love the way he hustled down the floor. He got a couple easy buckets just by running hard in transition. Then when you get those kind of points, then the threes start to fall. The defense is always outstanding. Just complete lockdown D on R.J. Barrett and company with his active hands. But look at these open shots. I mean, this is great ball movement. This is the Knicks turning really good defense into early offense. Those type of plays when other teams try to guard Anunoby with a smaller defender, he's got to take advantage. He stole, I like to liken it to, he stole 10 points tonight. So of his points, 10 of them were just points that you didn't expect. You didn't have to run a play for him. You didn't have to get him an assist. He just found himself 10 points by taking advantage of mismatches in transition. Those type of things really help a player like him get going offensively.
All right, so Anunoby 27, Cat 27. Monica McNutt helped call the game on ESPN New York, the radio broadcast. She now joins us. Monica, what do you think about the victory tonight?
Last part again, Pito. What do I think about who?
The win. The
win. Okay, got it. Great. You get back. First of all, I love wins when you have the opportunity to allow the starters for this unit to get some rest. And so I think taking care of business so that the bench could come in for that last 245, considering what's ahead this weekend, is a big deal. Also, 3-point shooting. In the last 3 games, the 3-point shooting difference from the first half, 3-point efficiency from the first half to the second half, dropped like 20 percentage points. It goes from in the 30s to 14. And so to see this team be able to hit threes in both halves, I think is a good sign. And Coach Tom Thibodeau said at pregame that, shooting is, sometimes you hit slumps, and that's part of the game. And so I like the way that overall this team shot the ball. Obviously, you want to see Mikal and Jalen get a little bit more efficient. But I think there was a lot of good tonight, including the defense in the second part of the third quarter and into the fourth.
Monica, Cat is back, and boy, does he make a difference in this Knicks team, doesn't he?
Wally, undeniable, okay? The Cat impact beyond the double-double, which speaks for itself in terms of his productivity, his gravity and the way that he can pass guys open off of cuts and such, the way that defenses have to shift and load to him. You could see at points the puzzle that he posed for Rajakovic and his staff, because Scotty Barnes was guarding him at one point instead of Jacob Hurdle. And so I think that firepower, when the Knicks are at their best, it is when Karl-Anthony Towns is on the floor, and that's not even up for discussion.
Monica, we talked a lot in the pregame about the Knicks bench. Wally and I mentioned before you came on, Landry Shamet, best game as a Knick in terms of points, at least, with 8. He made a very valuable contribution tonight.
Yeah, and Pat and I were tracking this on the radio as well. You'll look and say, okay, 14 bench points, cool. But when you look at the time that they were on the floor, they were able to extend the leads out, right? There was a stretch where we literally talked about this in the first half, and the lead seemed to dwindle, but by the time you looked up, it was back to that 10-point margin that was the largest margin, at least in the first half of the ball game. So I think you saw good investments, good opportunities to help build some confidence both ways for the guys when they step on the floor, and for the coaching staff to know that they can beat on the floor.
All right, Monica, as always, we appreciate it. We will see you on Friday night.
Sounds good.
I mentioned Shamet with Monica, and important for him tonight because, again, Deuce McBride's still out. 5th straight game missed with a bad hamstring.
Yeah, and Tom Thibodeau loves his defense. I look, he's coming off an injury, so timing, shot making, stuff like that, that's going to come. But I'm watching the way he's moving out there on the floor. He glides out there on the floor. He's known for his defense. He can guard multiple positions, and he has good size for a guard. So he's not going to get overpowered, and he's not going to get outsized. I think that's one thing Tom Thibodeau loves about him. You love to see, though, a couple buckets here and there, making quick decisions, quick moves, because he's always going to be a safe play on the defensive end of the floor. It's good to get some buckets, though, to fall.
All right, Jalen Brunson, again, didn't need to do a lot for the Knicks to win. 13 points, did have 7 assists and 6 rebounds, but it was Cat and OG Anunoby leading the way. Josh Hart, by the way, had 21.